Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It is January 5th, a sunny Monday in Chicago. If you're looking for the Bears podcast, this is the wrong place. But if you're just sick of Carm and Braggs and want to watch us instead, we understand.
Or if you're just sick of talking about Caleb Williams and Justin Fields,
that's right,
comparisons and all of that. I mean, we are the place to be right now if you're sick of that. I know I'm sick of it, but I continue to listen to those guys bicker at each other about it.
Bickering, it's all it is. We are at 12:30 every day this week. So it's a different time this week. We're at 12:30 if you're wanting Jordo's here, Alfredo's here. By the way, have you noticed that the diehard family is growing?
Ooh.
Man, is it growing. M. Fish, Rodney, Jamie, Carrie, Raul, Zach, Donald, Gordon, Rich, Jeremy, all new signups.
Incredible.
All new members of the Die Hard family. They're all got their Die Hard cards coming in the mail.
Then they can slap them on the bar, slap them at the table at the bar, and they'll get free drinks on Stucky.
You could have walked into Radio Row at the Super Bowl right now with that Die Hard card. You don't need a credential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flash the card.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It works.
And they're like, oh, let's take you to the front. Let's take you VIP treatment, put you right next to Adam Schefter, that kind of stuff.
And those guys, and I believe they all sign up because of CHGO Cubs, in my opinion.
Right.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Mm-hmm. They can get this hoodie $35 off, or they can get the T-shirt for free because they became diehards.
$35 off?
Yeah.
To bring them home. Bring them home.
That is nice. You want to show it a little bit better?
Yeah.
Bring Sammy home.
Yeah.
Soft.
Bring him home.
Yeah. Luxurious.
Yeah. This is a great hoodie. I will say, though, it's a little snug on me, and I just lost 17 pounds, so maybe get a bigger size than
size
you used
up.
to. Yeah, size up.
It's a slim fit, maybe, a little slimmer fit.
Yeah. But still comfortable. And
well, you'll sleep in it tonight all warm and in your bed.
Yeah.
I will absolutely be wearing this to the first home game I go to in April.
There you go.
So
I don't blame. First of all, you got to wear a sweatshirt to the first home game in April. We won't see it. It'll be under 7 coats that you have to wear as well. But anyways,
I'm manifesting good weather for the first home game in April. All right,
man, this weekend was nice.
Yeah.
I know it was only 40 degrees, but 40 felt like 50.
You got to knock on all the wood because we've been blessed the last 7 days.
Yeah.
For Chicago in the end of January going to February, we've been really blessed. Just don't do anything different, guys. You're waking up doing the same thing every day. The last 7 days, keep doing it because it's manifested great Chicago winter weather.
This week, 2015, was one of those blizzards that we had. I remember I was stuck in Arizona, which was not a bad place to be stuck, but then I couldn't get back, and it was all chaos. But it was one of those where if you had your car parked on the street in Chicago, which I did, it was buried. An SUV was buried by snow. So I'm glad we're not having that happen. Hi to Jim Cook.
Jim Cook.
Jim Cook.
Jim Cook.
Sarah says hi. Jordo says hi. Omar. Still waiting for Cody Bellinger as the rest of us.
Becky's here. Yeah. What's up, Jay? How you doing? He's right. You get the Die Hard card, free drinks at the pub. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, Becky wants to know why so early. We couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to talk to you, Becky. That's what it was.
Because you're a 5-star Die Hard fan.
Should we go on at 2:30? And we're like, I can't wait that long. Let's go 12:30.
Had to talk to Becky. Absolutely had to talk to Becky.
For sure.
One, mainly because she always says that she likes us.
Yeah, she says we're good people.
She says we're good people.
There was a while where she was only saying you two were good people.
But now she's adding Ryan to
I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Sometimes she says we're good looking, too, which is also nice.
It is nice when people tell me that I look nice.
So I wasn't here on Thursday. You guys were. I was downtown over by Northwestern's hospital facility. My wife had an appointment there. I had to take her to the appointment. We go there. This is the funniest thing about the hospital. You go around Northwestern Hospital, it's like they're inviting you back. In the lobby, there are 3 restaurants. One is Life Kitchen or something. I don't know what it's called. Sweet Mandy B's Cupcakes.
Oh, I bet that's your spot.
And Stan's Donuts. Those are the lobby of the hospital, okay?
Wonderful.
It's like you're leaving the hospital and they're like, see you in a week. You'll be back after you eat here.
Yeah, after you clog your arteries.
Across the street is Do Right Donuts. So, of course, I stopped at Do Right Donuts. Look at this beauty. If you're not on the live YouTube feed, this is where you want to be, okay?
Yeah.
Because you get to see pictures of what I ate for breakfast on Thursday, and you also get to comment in the live YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Apparently, Do Right has this, and I tried this. This is their s'mores donut.
I've never had this.
Oh,
I got to go to the location across from Wrigley and give this thing a shot.
I gotta tell you, it's good.
I can't help but notice that you didn't bring any for the rest of us.
Yeah.
It was Thursday. They'd be stale.
So you could have stopped on the way to the work today.
No, I don't drive by one.
You could have gone out your way a little bit.
I mean, I could have.
Would have been big of you.
It would have been big.
Well, with the new time, I had to get in here. You know, I had to scramble to get in here 12:30.
Would have given you credit.
I would have given you so much
credit.
credit if you brought us all donuts. However, I am glad that you didn't because the fitness journey continues 13 pounds away from the opening day goal. All right.
Nice.
Well
we
done.
We are
Well done.
less than halfway away from the opening day goal. All right. So
In like just over a month, right?
yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
There you go.
So
I'm just
We're
thinking of games
manifesting.
during the season, though. If we could get a Do Right donut deal, I could try to eat a donut faster than you could chug a beer out of a beer bat.
just shove that thing in your mouth.
See how fast I can eat that donut. Most likely, I'd probably choke
Yeah.
on air at some point.
I mean, okay. So what? I was like the last 2 months last year. I was averaging 10 to 12 seconds.
I couldn't eat
like
one of their
that.
donuts in 11 seconds.
They're so big.
Yeah.
That's what she said. All right.
Potentially
Office
some
reference.
munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts I could eat in 11 seconds.
Garrett's asking, what's better, Stan's or Do Right?
Oh, Do Right.
Do
That's
Right.
not even close.
Do
Stan's
Right's
is a
better.
California donut place.
Their coffee's okay too.
It's fine. Stan's is fine. I've heard the one in LA is way better than, and of course it is. It's like saying when you get, it's like when Uno's franchised out all over the country, and you go get if you went to an Uno's place in Merrillville, Indiana, it's not like going to Uno's.
Well,
in the
Do
city.
Right's chicken, the spicy chicken sandwich, like they have awesome.
The actual food at Do
there.
Right is good. It's
And
not
their
just a
fries
donut
are
place.
It's
really
still just a
good.
Chicago place.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Speaking of donuts, when we haven't talked about this, but RIP to the Dunkin' Donuts, like across from Wrigley, that's been there forever.
Gone?
It's gone. Yeah.
Well, Do Right ran them out of business.
that's what I'm saying. That's why Do Right's the best.
Right?
I'm not really upset about the Dunkin' leaving because there's
Oh,
a
you don't-
1,000 other Dunkins in the
That's right.
city.
Yeah.
But it was a staple in Wrigley. Let's just be real. Let's be real about it. It's like when they tore down the old Taco Bell, but then built up a new one and put a Culver's next to it. Like you got over it, you moved on with your life. But RIP, like everyone's had a moment there probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a guy playing third base. Someone better came along. We move on. Speaking of better players, so spring training.
How far in the show are we?
We're like it's a week away.
8 minutes.
8 minutes and 27
8 minutes
seconds.
into the show, we haven't
8
talked
minutes.
about baseball at all. Thanks.
We're
everyone
about to
hanging
talk
out.
baseball. Well, we did mention that there's a Do Right next to Wrigley Field. That's baseball related.
That's how we brought it around.
We
folks.
reeled it in.
Yeah.
So spring training, Ryan leaves a week from
Today?
today.
Yep. A week from today.
He's already
We're here.
started washing and ironing his Hawaiian shirts.
And then like a week after that, I'll be going.
Something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah. Confirmed now.
confirmed. You're going too.
Yeah.
What up-
22nd through the 27th. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just be doing shows. I'll be the guy in the bubble from back here.
And from my understanding, we'll be doing shows remotely, so you get to be home a lot.
Oh wow.
So good for you, man.
Hey, what's better than Arizona? My basement.
You want me to sneak you in in my luggage?
I could go for some sunshine. I'm not going to lie. Spring training hats are out. You pointed this out. You like them? What are you grading them?
Oh man,
Cubs spring
these
training
things
hats are out.
absolutely slap, bro. Like if there was a World Series in the spring training, the Cubs have absolutely won it. This is an elite hat. If you're on the YouTube, watch on the YouTube stream. We're showing it right now. Like it actually kind of like a week and a half ago, it kind of leaked out online because it was showing up on like MLB Shop in Canada, but not in America. And of course, the internet works like the internet does, and it got spread to Cubs Twitter. And I kind of did a reaction video that's on our Instagram that can go watch if you want to. But that my immediate reaction is that they are elite. I love the powder blue with the bear logo, little patch on the side. Anything powder blue, honestly, is going to get me.
Absolutely.
That's
how they get you.
But I have a theory that the more they keep introducing the powder blue, whether it's a little bit in the Wrigleyville or occasionally in a different hat, a spring training hat, sooner or later we're going to get those powder blue PJ road unis back.
Hopefully.
Sooner or later. We're testing out the powder blue in the market just to see how they feel about it.
The thing is, I don't know why the powder blues ever went away. Was there a point where everyone hated the powder blues for any team?
We talking about the pinstripe powder blue.
Talking about the 80s, Bill Buckner and the dark pinstripes on the powder blue uniform.
But that's what I'm saying. Is was there a point where everyone's like, "Oh, everyone hates these jerseys. We need to get rid of them."
Yeah.
Well,
seriously, they had run their course. They're not like. They're more like a fad, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's like the home pinstripe one it's a for the most part pretty universal. Looks good every year. You expect it. The pinstripe one it runs about a decade and then you're like, man, I need something fresh.
I guess it's fair, but I will say the Phillies powder blues, even the Cardinals powder blues. Any powder blue
everybody's
jersey
bringing them back. That's what I'm saying.
Any powder blue is awesome.
Royals
powder blue.
This is not powder blue, but the ones that I believe they wore in the 80s as well, but they didn't button down. They were just a pullover.
Right.
Like the dark blue.
The V-neck pullover.
I wouldn't be mad if they brought that back either. Cool Corey has an Ernie Banks related Banks one of that, like a jersey of that, and it's beautiful. I love that jersey. I need one.
Corey's a terrific model.
Well, yeah.
Sure. It's better on him than it does on most people.
Yeah, I saw a baby picture of him on my Instagram story today. His girlfriend posted it. And he looks it's an incredible picture. But
well, where is it?
I wish I would have saved it and brought it for the show, considering we're talking about nothing today. But what do you call it?
Look for it.
I would love to be able to get a V-neck of the powder blue if they were to choose something like a mixture of that personally. And they kind of I think it might have been a promotional thing a few years ago because I have one at my apartment that's a V-neck pullover of the powder blue with the pinstripes. It was like a promotional jersey that they gave away a long time ago. I ended up getting it at Cubs convention in this grab bag that they used to give out all the time, and I really dig that. I would wear it, but it doesn't fit me yet. Maybe I can get back into it after I hit this 30-pound weight loss that I have a goal for, but. I would love a combination of those two unis.
Facebook turns 20. That doesn't seem right, Becky. It's older than that.
It started in 2003.
I thought it was older than that. I thought I did it in the late 90s.
No, 2003. Oh. You haven't seen Social Network?
Maybe that was Hotmail that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
You Got Mail? Oh, was it 2004?
Yeah, February 4th, 2004. So
Social Network's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Anyways,
I
would like to apologize on behalf of CHGO, mostly on behalf of Cody. 2/24, the whole 24 thing we were doing, 2/4/24.
We did end the show on Thursday saying
no Bellinger.
We're manifesting it.
So are we moving the goalpost once again?
Yeah, we're circling the 24th of February.
Yeah, 2/24/24.
Can't believe the Cubs let a great opportunity like that go by. Marketing, they want marketing help. Here it is.
It would have been a real laugh. We would have got a lot of laughter if the Cubs would have just made a minor league signing yesterday.
Yeah. So Cody Bellinger week did not pan out.
It didn't happen.
The second Cody Bellinger week didn't pan out.
Do we know what their slogan is for the year? Or they've not.
I don't think they've announced it yet.
Honestly,
right?
I feel
what was
like
last year?
Next starts here.
Next starts here.
I feel like they should just use it again. I liked it. It was one of the few that they've put out there that I actually liked.
As we try to figure out tomorrow's podcast, it may be centered around what should the new slogan be. Because I don't know what it should be.
Yeah.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting.
Waiting for the market to come to us. Cubs 2024.
Standoff.
So are you disappointed in any of the deals? I mean, the Dodgers are making deals again. Still no Bellinger.
They signed a reliever today?
Signed a reliever. Traded. They made a trade. The White Sox are making trades over the weekend. It's not going to help them, but they made trades.
Didn't they sign Pilar too? Kevin Pilar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Millar, I think it was. Kevin Millar. They're bringing him back.
Yeah.
Give him another run.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't play for the Royals, though, so I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
That's right.
And obviously, an hour ago or so, the Royals signed an extension with Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, well, I would sign that extension, too.
11 years, 288, something like that.
That's going to age so well, man.
And I was looking at it. I guess it also has – he's got opt-outs after the 2030, 2031. He has, like, the last 4 years are, like, opt-outable years. And then the Royals also have club options for 2035, 2036, and 2037, apparently.
By then, I'm going to...
It could end up being a 14-year contract.
By the time all those things come up, I'm going to be in my 40s, bro. Like, it's crazy.
Oh.
It could end up being a 14-year, $377
Will this
million.
podcast still exist? I hope so.
I got to tell you, okay, so which Cubs prospect or current young player will be the first for the Cubs to try and sign, like, to a deal like that?
Massive
like
an extension?
Who will be the first Cubs player where they say to themselves, we've got to lock him up for 11 years?
For me...
Not a free agent.
Yeah. You're talking about a young guy that comes up that
because
they develop and they
if it's
decide
a player,
to pay.
yeah, it's not going to even if they were to sign Soto, I don't think they're signing him to an 11-year deal. So, yeah, who in the organization now could you see someday wanting to sign to that type of deal?
Cade Horton. Because pitching is expensive.
Boy, that's dangerous, though. 11 years for a pitcher is real dangerous.
Pitcher.
I think it has to be a position player. I agree that he might be the highest on the list, but
he may have the highest ceiling or like the best career, but like committing a lot of money over that many years to a pitcher, especially one who's already had Tommy John surgery.
Fair.
That's a big risk.
Maybe
so
I
agree.
I'm clearly very high on Cade Horton.
Yeah.
It
to
seems
just
like
be like the next Mark Pryor.
It seems like a huge contract to give to somebody like PCA if he's not going to have the power too, right? Like, I'm not saying he's not going to have power, but
maybe Alcantara. If I had to choose a position player, I'd say someone like Owen Casey or Kevin Alcantara.
Shaw.
Yeah, maybe Matt Shaw. Yeah, Shaw's good example. Matt Shaw probably has a higher ceiling than those other two, just because I don't. We need. If there's one player in the minors I'll be paying attention to more this year, it's definitely Alcantara, because I feel like he's like right on the brink of really becoming a top 30 prospect in baseball. But I've explained it before. If you just go through his ups and downs, they remind me a lot of like Javi Baez. Like, he can be the best player on the planet, but he can also give you a lot of nothing. So like, they need more consistency out of him, and they need him to just really kind of blossom into like the player that he can be. And so he's one guy I'm definitely paying attention to, because I think he's going to spend the entire year in the minors. So for 2025, if he's still here, like, he's a guy like with the defensive versatility and athleticism that can play center field or probably all three outfield positions. If he has the power that he's also showed off in hitting ability consistently, like, that's a guy that you can not only build around but really market, because he has the vibes. I mean, his nickname's Jaguar for a reason, right? Like, his ceiling is really high. It's just that we just haven't seen a lot of consistency from him through his time in the minors.
I think Kiebert's right. An 11-year deal has to be a 5-toolish type player.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering about.
And that's why I said Alcantara.
Yeah, and I was wondering about like Owen Casey. Like, he's supposed to have the most power of anybody in the organization. But he's a big, tall guy. Mm-hmm. They're not sure where he's playing yet. And so I'm not sure that he fits into that window. I usually feel like an 11-year deal is a more athletic player. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody that will age gracefully, because if he's a shortstop, or you might be able to move him to a corner outfield on an 11-year deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's what I feel about Alcantara. If he develops into the player that I think a lot of Alcantara believers believe, he could be a 5-tool player. So
maybe it's Shaw.
Yeah. It could be. I mean, the hit tool's there. He's a good defender. It's just, where's he going to play? I think is also the issue. Is he going to be your third baseman? Is he going to be able to do it?
Is the power going to transition over? Like,
maybe it's one of their international signings at shortstop that they keep. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, like one of the young kids that's a teenager, and to get him up, you're like, all right, here's 10 years and.
Yeah. Well, that's
years down the road, of course, too.
That's what I was looking at. I was like, maybe that guy's not in the system right now, because or
he's way back in the system.
Yeah, like with Shaw, like you're talking about Shaw, like Dansby Swanson's their shortstop for the next 6 seasons.
Right.
It's going to be hard for, and Nico obviously for another 3 at second base. Like it's going to be hard for Shaw to break in there unless something changes with those two. I mean, Kelvin Alcantara still got a couple years away. We're talking about like where's he going to play as along the rest of this outfield mix, right? Like PCA could be that guy as their top prospect, but is the bat going to follow the defense at the big league level, right? That's a huge question mark. So I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just like I'm not 100% convinced that guy is in the Cubs system right now.
We have to remember too that Bobby Witt Jr. is basically what Chris Bryant was in terms of
he was a number one prospect.
He was a number one prospect 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
like
Cubs don't have that.
PCA does, as high as he is the number one prospect for the Cubs. Like what? He's a top 20 guy. He's not even in the top 10. He did kind of peak in the top 10 last year when they did like a midseason ranking, but coming into this year, he's not a top 10 guy. So, as much as again, I take the rankings with a grain of salt because I've seen guys fail and I've seen guys have success. But sure, I mean, if PCA turns out to be like a Corbin Carroll, that's a guy that you definitely could. But
sure,
again, he's got to prove that he can hit at the major league level.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when the Diamondbacks gave Carroll that extension, but
I think it would have been before last year.
Yeah, so like he came up and was really good for the Diamondbacks and is like in 2022 when they were bad, in the second half of the year, he came up and had success and they were like, all right, we're going to pay you. And then he won Rookie of the Year, led him to the World Series, like looks like a great investment. PCA just hasn't shown enough. He hasn't had the chance to show enough that he deserves any kind of shove him all that money,
right.
Well,
like Luis Robert for the White Sox. They signed him, and then it was, hey, we think we can get value here.
Yeah.
But the Witt one is a different story. That's like he's shown you how good he is at the major league level, and they were like, we can't
we can't risk letting you go.
Yeah, we've got to give you a bunch of money now and hope you're happy with that.
And I think that's when we talk about this front office and just not completely being risk averse, but definitely weighing those risks maybe heavier than other front offices do. When you're talking about a guy that, when you're looking at the Cubs system and a bunch of guys who could be that guy, but with little to no major league experience, like that's a huge risk, right? Like the Brewers, the contract they're giving Jackson Chourio, that's a big risk for a guy who's never set foot in a major league baseball field. So it's just not that I'm not saying that I don't think the Cubs would ever do that with this front office specifically, but just knowing how they kind of operate, they like having the flexibility that obviously guys in their first 6 years, pre-arb and then arbitration, like they like having that kind of flexibility, like not having a bunch of long-term deals on the books, right? So this isn't doing something like the Bobby Witt deal isn't something that's completely in their MO. Now, if that guy emerges, I think they would do it. I just don't see them doing it for a guy that just hasn't not proved anything at the major league level, whether that is Kevin Alcantara right now or Pete Crow Armstrong or whoever it is. They just don't have guys that could be at that level or even close to what Bobby Witt Jr. has been that have at least a year or two in the major leagues and have shown that. I think that's where the risk comes, is that they just don't have the guys, the young guys that could be in that group they just don't have the guys that have the major league experience to show that they can still do it at the big league level too.
The right opportunity's not there, and they are the Cubs. They're not the 4 teams that are coming to mind. This is not to say that the Red Sox or other teams haven't done it, but we've just talked about Corbin Carroll. Okay, you're talking about Arizona, smaller market. Milwaukee, smaller market. White Sox, big market, but number 2 in town, right? Mm-hmm. All of them are smaller market franchises. So I don't know. I don't know if that person's there, but it'll be interesting to see who would be the first one when they will branch out that way.
Chef Kevin in the chat says that Witt was drafted in the 2019 draft. What Cubs prospects have done anything from that draft? And
wasn't that
it wasn't.
That's Nieren's.
Yeah, it was the Ryan Jensen
argument.
one.
Yeah.
I think he's making a point based off a lot of chats that he sends. I would say the best thing that they've had developed out of that draft to this point was DJ Hers, who they ended up moving for Candelario last year at the deadline. But yeah, otherwise there are, Porter Hodge is a guy that they took 13th.
Could make his big league debut this year.
Maybe Porter Hodge can be that guy. I look, it's a great baseball name, and that's my full belief on why he could be good. But Darius Hill is also a guy who's kind of been in AAA for the last couple of years that, I don't know, they just haven't given him a chance to make his debut. I know a lot of people in the YouTube chat have kind of clamored to see him over the course of the last 2 years. But, of course, he's an outfielder. But, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Chef Kevin, that draft wasn't great for the Cubs, but they've been pretty good since then. And also, you should look at the 2018 one because that was a lot better one. So, and also, the front office, scouting, player development, all of that, it's a lot different now than it was in 2019. So, take it. I'd take that 2019 one as a wash, and it didn't work out. And honestly, it's a big reason why they had to move Rizzo, Bryant, Baez. They couldn't develop guys. They couldn't keep that run going. We've talked about it at ends related to player development stuff, but I feel pretty good about it now. So.
Somebody in the chat, I think it was Fernando, was asking about the time different. Listen, this week, like I said, this week 12:30. Next week, actually, we're 3:30. Why is it moving around? Because schedules are moving around. We've got all the Bears people out at the Super Bowl this week. It messes with producer schedules. It messes with show schedules.
Yep.
Next week, Ryan goes to Arizona, and spring training starts to mess with. We want to make sure Ryan's got something to talk about before we have a podcast.
Yep.
So that's why they're kind of floating back and forth right now on times. Just so everybody knows.
We'll do better to update you guys
later
in the week.
Right, 12:30 this week. Every day this week.
I will put my hand up and say that I probably should have tweeted from our account yesterday.
Big of you.
Big of me to say.
Credit to you for being big.
But no credit for not tweeting it out. Taking credit back. The credit evens out.
Reverse credit.
Reverse credit. It X's out.
You're back to square one. Now, tell us about being back to square one with CIRCA Sportsbook, where you're way ahead, Cody.
No, I'm actually not. I had a bad gambling
Well,
weekend.
this is the week to do it. If you remember last year.
Mm-hmm. You won a bunch of money on the Super Bowl.
I won over $1,000.
Oh.
Super Bowl week
all
last
I'm
year.
saying is you can go and get the Chiefs money line at plus money, and I'm telling you, when Patrick Mahomes is an underdog, he is a cash cow. As much as I have family who are 49ers fans, and I want to root for the 49ers, from a gambling standpoint, I'm probably going to be betting on the Chiefs on Sunday because I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Is that where most of the money is going, that most people are like saying, I can't bet against Mahomes? I feel like that's going to be a real popular trend this week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was the same thing against the Bills. It was the same thing against the Ravens. He's been an underdog this entire postseason, and they've won every game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then knowing that the lines are probably going to move towards the Chiefs' favor, I got my bet in like as soon as the championship weekend was over.
Really?
Oh, I got it in as early as I could. Chiefs.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
the line has really moved too because it opened at like 1, and now it's up to like 2.5. But the money line odds have shifted a lot too. So, right now is a good time to get the Chiefs if you really want to. You can do it on CIRCA, right? The games are strived to be a -110 split of the CIRCA Sportsbook menu. Unlike other sportsbooks, which use -115 or -120 splits, they keep as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. They don't limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. They encourage bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available. And they actually encourage people, again, to compare the lines from each book just to see how good or how much better their lines are, right? So, and then, again, I just can't emphasize this enough. The chat bots, they don't have chat bots. I hate talking to chat bots. It's like AI. I think you've mentioned that before, Ryan. Like
I hate AI.
I hate AI, all right? CIRCA, all aspects of their app are being run by the same team that runs the main CIRCA Sportsbook at CIRCA Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, where the Bears guys are right now. Download the CIRCA Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for CIRCA events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
And when you win big on the Super Bowl or you get your tax return coming up in a little while,
I need to
take that dough and get yourself some new flooring. Upgrade your living space. Empire Today, you get to shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. they're the best place to get your new flooring. A lot of copycats, but the copycats just can't keep up with the other things that they offer: quality, service, speed, all of it. And here's the deal. They have a philosophy of Empire doesn't just give you a billion options for your flooring. They give you the best options for your buck for flooring.
The bang for your buck.
Yeah, you don't want to have the bad free agents. You don't want the 11-year, $700 million contract for a guy that's not going to play. You want the 3-year deal for a guy who you didn't know was going to be great and turns out to be the superstar player in your living room, your new flooring. That's what they offer. And they have a virtual floor designer, so you can see how those new floors are going to look in your space by just simply taking a picture. Pride themselves with their shop-at-home service. They help you shop for floors and service their own warranties. So if an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service their warranties themselves. You don't have to track down the manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners here at CHGO get a $350 off discount when you simply use the promo code with the 4 most important letters in the alphabet, CHGO. That's CHGO, and it gets you $350 off your order at Empire. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. 588-2300.
Empire
So
Today.
everybody's wondering, what are we going to talk about the rest of the day? What are we going to talk about? And here's
That's
what
everyone's saying in the chat, obviously.
in case you haven't noticed, it's Monday, Magic Wand Monday. Anybody got a crazy idea to fix the Cubs off season? What do you got for us, Cody? How are you going to fix the Cubs on Magic Wand Monday?
I kind of referenced it before on a previous show. I want to say like back in December. And I will give credit to the great Jared Carabas on this for tweeting something that made me think of this back then. But if there's anything that we should be excited about as Cubs fans is the fact that we're not Red Sox fans. Because the Red Sox, their ownership they're making the Ricketts look great, honestly, this offseason with the
Although they did get Theo back.
I don't care. Okay, actually, I do care. But I also still think Theo's going to be a commissioner one day, and he's just going to do this for a little bit.
But we can no longer say he's just out there working for everybody.
Right.
He's working for the Red Sox.
But Craig Breslow is still
Mm-hmm.
the guy there, and I think he's definitely like an advisor. But again, him being back with the Red Sox organization this year is probably the biggest move they've made this offseason.
Theo says, go clean the toilets. Somebody goes cleans the toilets.
Yep.
So, anyway, to bring it back around, with the way the Red Sox it seems like they're operating this offseason. Again, the beginning of the offseason, part of their ownership said something about how they're going full throttle. And then Craig Breslow, like a week and a half ago, said something about how they're going to have a lower payroll than last season. All right. So they've walked back everything that they said, like at the beginning of the offseason, probably just because they wanted to get people to sign up for season tickets or whatever. Like it's really bad stuff, right? It just seems like the Red Sox are going to be at the bottom of the AL East this year, considering how good that division is. The fact that the Orioles just traded for Corbin Burns, the Yankees, they've added to their roster. The Blue Jays still have a pretty solid roster. They're going to at least be mid and be in the race. It's a very tough division. And the Red Sox desperately need pitching. I feel like their lineup isn't too bad, but they desperately need pitching. But my thing is here, my Magic Wand Monday, we've talked about the closer a handful of times. Like, who's the closer if it's not ALLCITY? Or are they going to add a bullpen arm that could be the closer and moves ALLCITY to that 8th inning or 7th, 8th inning role? And I don't think the Cubs will do this before the season, but if they did, I wouldn't be upset about it. That's why it's a Magic Wand Monday. But trading for Kenley Jansen, who has 1 year left on his deal with the Red Sox and is an experienced closer and a guy who has been in a lot of playoff games, the Red Sox, Craig Breslow, Jed, have a relationship. Like, it probably makes sense for them to wait till the deadline when they're out of it to move him. But I don't hate the idea of trading for Kenley Jansen to be part of the bullpen.
Whether it's now or
at the deadline.
Later, yeah.
Of course, it matters if the Cubs are in it, which, listen, brother, I'll do whatever it takes. We got to manifest 90 wins somehow, some way, right? So,
they're nowhere near a 90-win team until they at least sign Cody Bellinger.
I agree. But what I'm saying is as long as we're going into opening day with a roster that I think all three of us could feel good about, you know what I mean? But the Red Sox, I just feel like they're going to be selling unless they fix their roster. And I mean, they signed Giolito. Okay, like I just don't. They have some young pieces. I like Bello like as one of their young starting pitchers. Obviously, they still have Devers. They need Trevor Story to stay on the field. They have some nice pieces. Like you look at the roster, and you're like, they'd actually probably be competitive in the NL Central. But
anybody could be. That's the problem with not doing anything right now. I saw our friend Gordon Wittenmeyer, who's now doing the stuff for the Reds, saying the division is like going to be super competitive. It's not going to be like the AL East or the NL West because they're not. But it could be just as competitive. It could be that much separation between 1 and 3 or 1 and 4. Everybody's the same. And John Mozeliak of the Cardinals, like, the one thing we're all waiting to see is what the Cubs do with their money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's even saying they play on a little different platform than the rest of us do. Now, he may be blowing smoke because they spend money, too, sometimes in St. Louis, but he's not wrong in that the Cubs should be spending more than anybody in the division.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the truth. And to your point, Cody, with Kenley Jansen, he's 35 going on 36, I think, or he might be 36 already. Is he still the same guy that he was, 6-7 years ago, right? Like at his peak?
Probably not.
I don't know. Yeah, like what is it going to cost you in a trade?
I don't think much.
There's the options thing to consider. Right? We've talked about it with Hector Neris, with Yency Almonte when they brought him in, all this stuff. So you're losing flexibility unless you're cutting some guy, and that's just a wasted salary. I'm not saying like I would be opposed to Kenley Jansen either. You're weighing all that kind of stuff, and I don't know if he's the same. I don't know if he's the same pitcher he was when he was arguably the best closer in baseball, and at that point, does adding him still make sense when he may not be the clear-cut closer anyway? I think that's where I look at it.
I think he would automatically be the Cubs closer just based off experience, and he was a closer for the Red Sox last year.
But would he be their best closer is my point.
Oh, I don't know.
Would he be their best option at closer then? Because we saw last year, Adbert was really good. He was actually, I think he was better than Kenley Jansen was last year.
You know what I think with Kenley Jansen is you have to see how things – I wouldn't do it right now, but you have to see how things play out. I'm not trying to bring – injuries into existence, but we know they're going to happen. Yeah. We know somebody's going to have a down season in a bullpen that we're not expecting to have a down season. So let's see what ALLCITY, Merriweather, some of the other guys that they've added, like people we're counting on now may not be able to count on in the second half of the season. So when you get close to the trade deadline, that picture becomes a lot more clear. I'm totally with you that I think by the trade deadline, they'll want to add another person. And not necessarily just a prospect, counting on a prospect to do it. That's the type of move where you could add an arm and be like, okay, we needed the depth anyway because they didn't have it last year. So
maybe
I like it. It's not a name I had thought of.
It's not like us trying to manifest Bo Bichette or Vlad Jr.
But I'd still like to. If we could get Bo Bichette, I still would like to do that.
Sure. But I do think that it's absurd. I think the Cubs, at the very least, the Cubs and Red Sox. There makes a lot of sense for there being a potential trade for those two because of Jed and Craig Breslow's relationship, like knowing each other, the fact that the Red Sox feel like they're going backwards while the Cubs are going up. Will that happen before opening day or at the trade deadline? I don't know. But I just think that it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons on why they could be trade partners at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Breslow thing really has much to do with it. Like, teams are going to deal regardless, and it's not like Breslow's going to give Jed a discount because they're friends, anything like that.
Well, hey, we've been talking about the Cubs and Guardians all offseason because Carter Hawkins used to be there.
Let's just Carter Hawkins knows the system from the Guardians as far as like Class A. He has, it's just like he has more information on those guys having been in the system 2 years ago. I don't think the Breslow Jed, just the fact that they're friends and obviously former colleagues means that they would be any more likely to do a deal. I do think, like, especially considering Breslow just took the job, like, he's not going to be sitting there like, all right, Jed, like, we'll give you a little bit of a discount.
I don't think they're gonna get some discount.
No, but I just don't think that whether it's Craig Breslow or anyone else running the Red Sox at that point, that it would be any different if they're going after Kenley Jensen. But I mean, it doesn't hurt. Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
Maybe it's a different player on the Red Sox that I'm not thinking of. I really do think the Red Sox are going to be selling in July, based off what they've done this offseason, what their ownership is saying. Like they literally, like Craig Breslow's quotes. If I was a Red Sox fan, I would be significantly more pissed off than I have been in the past at Cubs ownership or Theo and Jed. Undoubtedly, based off what their ownership and front office has said this offseason. The Red Sox have made Tom and Jed and all the stuff from the past 5 years looks incredibly good.
Yeah.
Based off what they've said.
Well, when you think about it, yeah, and everything like the Yankees have done, the Orioles have done, the Blue Jays are still the Blue Jays, and who else am I missing in that division? Yankees, Red
Orioles.
Sox. Well, Yankees, Red Sox, Tampa Bay.
And the Rays are the Rays. They're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
Every year. It's like, it feels like this is the year the Orioles finally will.
Yeah. Well, now that they added Burns.
Yeah, really.
Adding Burns is huge for them.
But so, like just that whole division is full of like legitimate playoff contenders and even a couple World Series contenders. The Red Sox could absolutely be trading in July, and
unless they sign a pitch, I know they're kind of linked to Jordan Montgomery too. Like if they do end up spending money, then sure, we could probably not be talking about this in July. But just based off right now, it just feels like they are trying to develop from within only. Which is crazy because they've definitely spent money before, man. And it just looks bad because their ownership is trying to buy. Aren't they? It was we were talking about it with Tom last week, related to the PGA Tour. The Red Sox are part of that too. You know what I mean? They invest all this money into that.
It's just angry fans.
It's been a very, very depressing offseason if you're a Red Sox fan, man.
But you mentioned Montgomery, and it's kind of that's my Magic Wand Monday is still Montgomery and Bellinger.
That's your Magic Wand Monday?
That's my Magic Wand Monday. It's not flashy. It's not out of the blue, but it's that's what it should be. I keep thinking about how the division is there for the taking, and they're not taking advantage of it. Do we see improvements? Yes, but right now, as the roster stands right now, you've lost Stroman and Bellinger. Until I see Bellinger in a Cubs uniform, you've lost Stroman and Bellinger. And your biggest, most proven addition this entire offseason is Hector Neris.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be. It's not your unproven prospect that you think is going to play first base in the trade you made for Bush, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's not Imanago, who you've never seen pitch in the major leagues. It's Hector Neris, an aging reliever who should be beneficial to your team. But when you have an opportunity to grab the division by the throat and say, there's no way we're losing this division unless we're just decimated by injuries, it seems like a missed opportunity. So my Magic Wand Monday is Montgomery and Bellinger and show up at Sloan Park. Period. You got 1 week to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to go longer than a week at this point. Remember, Bryce Harper signed at the end of February.
Make a package deal with Scott Boras.
Yeah.
Can you get one of them by the time he gets to Arizona?
God can only hope. I saw that Boras tried to do. He's trying to do another leverage play over the weekend. I think it was Nightingale's article saying that the Phillies could be the sleeper team for Bellinger, and because the Phillies haven't really done a lot this offseason. They re-signed Nola. There's probably some other things in there too, but they haven't made any huge moves. I think it's a leverage play from Scott Boras, just feeding it to his puppet. Yeah. No offense to you, Bob, but that's just how I feel. I will continue to believe that Bellinger is going to be a Cub. I've stayed on this hill all offseason. I said since the offseason technically started that the longer it goes, the more likely Cody Bellinger is going to be a Cub. And there's been months where a team could jump out and offer to overpay for Cody Bellinger, and no team has done it. So, but I think you're at least getting half of that. I don't know if Montgomery's a guy. If he's going to be another pitcher that they sign, I think that they're more likely to make a trade.
To Brady's comment, the Imanaga logic is dumb. You wouldn't say the Dodgers didn't add value since Yamamoto isn't proven. I don't think you said that about you said their most proven guy.
I just said your most proven addition. You don't know as much about Imanaga and how he's going to transition into Major League Baseball. I mean, that's the same is true for Yamamoto. It is.
It is true.
Yeah, no, what you said was that your most proven addition was Hector Neris.
Yeah, I like the Imanaga signing. I'm just saying I can't guarantee you it's going to work out.
Yeah.
The most proven.
Just like the Dodgers can assume that the Yamamoto is going to work out.
Bush might turn out to be an incredible addition this season, but we just don't know yet.
Until
I see him play for a season, I don't know.
Faces, right?
Yeah. So my magic wand one day is Christopher Morel learning to play third base consistently. Oh. There you go. That's
God.
You know how huge that would be for the Cubs right now? Like that could clear up a lot of things for the Cubs.
I'd rather him learn to play
going into spring training that Christopher Morel is going to be your everyday third base.
He's over there like Forrest Gump, just
right.
Like instead of a ping pong paddle, he's flashing leather left and right.
Doesn't even need to be Gold Glove caliber, man.
Just be good.
A serviceable guy who can play good.
Give me a C. Give me a C. For Christopher.
Yeah,
right there at third base.
And because that offensive production and potential is so big that if he can just give you like we are comfortable playing him every day in third base type stuff. If the Cubs can go into this season saying we are comfortable giving Morel the bulk of the playing time at third base, that's huge for him. And the fact that they can't makes his future with the Cubs unclear, just based on the additions they're making.
It's interesting you bring that up with the weekend rumor mill based on a random ass Cardinals account that people on Cubs Twitter were talking about with related to a potential Cubs Marlins trade. But listen, I want to believe that what the Cubs said at Cubs convention related to Christopher Morel about moving him around and all this stuff was just them talking like publicly, because let's be real, you can argue he's been on the trade market all offseason, right?
I mean, you could probably say he's been on the trade market for like the last year, if we're being honest.
So like maybe they're saying that because the value is where it's at. I want to believe that's it. And then they're going to go into spring and he's exclusively playing third base. I would love for that to happen because the ceiling's so high. And also, I think I'd rather see him get that opportunity than the Cubs give Matt Chapman a bunch of money. As much as I would be okay with signing Matt Chapman, I would rather see Morel really get that opportunity at third and see him excel at it, right? But it's one of those that we have to wait and see. Like, I don't know.
We'll talk about a possible Luzardo trade here coming up in the third segment, or just a trade for a frontline pitcher and get some of your ideas. First, though, want to let you know that it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for all of us who share it, Ryan.
Yeah, Luke.
Look at he was caught off guard.
The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do, Ryan?
Well, let me tell you, Luke, and everyone in chat, Cody, pay attention. You might have a business sometime in the near future. You never know. But what you should do, go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
No, I was just thinking about possible trades. Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Are you sure you weren't thinking
I was daydreaming.
The s'mores donut?
I was daydreaming about that as well. Dreaming about that as well.
So, yes,
Christopher Morel.
I did, in fact, say ComEd.com/clean. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Again, a reminder, 12:30 our shows this week, 3:30 next week. Barb's going to come on this baby at about 2:30 today and be like, where is everybody?
She's going to be pissed.
And then she's definitely going to be
Somebody
like,
call Barb.
She'll be in the chat asking, is this live? It won't be
live. Nobody will respond, and then she'll say, why is nobody reading the chat?
It won't even be the live chat. It'll be like the regular YouTube comments.
Barb, if you're watching this, it was live at 12:30.
I'm definitely checking the YouTube comments at like 6 p.m. tonight just to see. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Barb. So blame Cody. Blame Cody.
Blame me. I bigger me to take the blame.
I did see a live YouTube chat comment, I believe from Peter, up earlier talking about Luzardo.
Yeah. It's probably after I made
He says exactly,
the
Luke. Injuries. I keep seeing Cubs fans want Luzardo, but if you trade for him, you better keep that IL spot open for him. He's made of glass. So not specifically about Luzardo, but just a frontline pitcher, right? That's what we're talking about. So there's one of two ways the Cubs can still improve here before the season starts. One, they can sign some guys. Two, they can trade for some guys. So knowing that you have to, in a real world, you have to give something up to get something back. That's the way trades work. And nobody wants to trade the best prospects. Nobody wants to trade the wrong prospect. Which top prospect? So we're talking about, in my eyes,
top prospect.
Top five prospects in the Cubs, something like that. It has to be a top 10 guy.
Yeah. Which
prospect would you be willing to give up to get a starting pitcher or an impact bat back? Who realistically would you say, okay, if you want to use Luzardo as the example, fine. If you want to say Jose Ramirez, and you're always talking about Ramirez, fine. Whoever that player might be, which prospect would you be willing to give up?
And we're not including Morel in this. We're only looking at prospects.
We're not including Morel.
Okay.
If you want to include Wicks as a prospect, I don't know that.
He's definitely still a rookie.
Okay, if you want to call that, I'm more thinking like PCA would start the list because he's considered your top prospect. So my thing is, I believe the list starts with PCA and goes down. Which guy would you be willing to give up? Now, if you told me Jose Ramirez, my answer would be name the guy.
Sure.
That realistically, he'd be a good enough fit and player for the team that if I had to give up any of those top five prospects or one of those top five, other than Cade Horton, because I think you're talking about position players.
Yeah. I think Owen Casey.
I'd still give up Cade Horton if I was to get Ramirez.
I think Owen Casey would be the guy I would pick out of the top five, top six prospects.
Interesting. And he has value for sure.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of potential on the offensive side. I think we've seen him this offseason's taking more work at first base and stuff like that, so maybe adding a little bit of defensive versatility there. I just think, we're looking at PCA. He's your top prospect for a reason. It's tough to trade the guy like that unless what you're getting back is worth it, right?
Right.
And the same thing with Cade Horton, one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. A lot of belief in that guy. Him and Matt Shaw kind of falls in that same group for me as far as just the way he's rocketed up the system in 2 months to double. He finished the season in Double-A, right?
Casey's the guy they say has the most power in the entire organization.
He might. He really might. But I also think that other teams look at that as a very valuable part of a tool set. And then, you talked about Alcantara earlier this year or earlier today. Like, dude could be the best player to come from this entire group of prospects. Potentially five-tool kind of guy, right? I don't know. Like Owen Casey. If I'm the Cubs, I'm not looking to trade. I'm not looking to trade any of those guys, right? Like, if a team's coming over with offers for these guys, I'm absolutely listening. But I don't know that I'm for sure going out and shopping those guys around. But if it were to come down to one of those five, I think again, depending on what you're getting back, on what the return is, like Owen Casey just may be the most likely.
Casey or Alcantara.
Maybe the more likely one.
Yeah. That's what I would think it might be, Casey or Alcantara. But now Alcantara was, remind me, he was the Rizzo deal?
Yes.
So you have to think of it that way, too. Like, I know you've invested in him, but realistically, would you trade Rizzo and not having to pay his contract for Luzardo or Ramirez? Well, yeah. I would.
Probably. I also think for me, I guess personally, I think we're enough removed from that trade. A couple years removed from that trade, where I don't think about it in that way anymore.
You've invested in his development though, and you've seen him kind of start to progress closer and closer to the big league. So to me, he's got more value now than he did even when you traded for him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we're farther enough removed now where it doesn't feel like you're trading the guy you got for Rizzo anymore. Like, it would be. Or he like, just overall, I'm not considering him the guy you got for Rizzo anymore. I consider him like one of your best prospects. Like I think we're far enough removed that he's his own guy. He's developed for 2 years now. He's his own player and doesn't need to be attached to that trade anymore.
I guess like my question related to this is who do you believe in more? Do you believe in PCA or do you believe in Kevin Alcantara? Because Kevin Alcantara is going to play outfield. I mean, he's been playing center field.
You might need to make that evaluation now. I mean?
And if you're going to sign Bellinger, you can play Bellinger in center for another year. I personally feel like Kevin Alcantara has the higher ceiling, but I feel like PCA is going to be a stud too. And so for me, it's really hard to make that decision. And I'm talking about like the dream of like a Jose Ramirez or whatever, you know, a mega star player out there that's on a team that either doesn't act or doesn't look like they're moving up anytime soon, or a team that doesn't like paying guys but paid this guy and now they're like things have gone off the rails and they need to save money, whatever. You know what I mean? Like for me it's like if the Cubs were in this scenario made this decision, they would have to decide, do they like Kevin Alcantara more or PCA more? And I think one of those two is going to be, or I think both of them are going to be really good baseball players. But if PCA is the guy they believe is going to be in center field and is going to be out there for 6-7 years once he's ready, then I feel like it's okay to move Alcantara if you can get a really good player. But again, I personally feel Alcantara has the higher ceiling.
Here's the thing with that. Alcantara still has 2 more option years. And when we're looking at Happ and Suzuki, both only have 3 more years left on their deals. Mm-hmm. The timing of potentially, like PCA is going to be up this year, like for sure. Like we know that, whether it's opening day or a month into the season, whatever. Like he's going to be up playing this year unless something changes drastically. Like Alcantara doesn't necessarily have to be. What did he end up last season in high A, I think?
He was in double A last year.
Was he in double A by the end of the year?
Struggled at first, right?
I can't remember.
I believe Alcantara struggled at first, but then seemed to figure it out.
Anyway,
we need Brian Smith or something.
So he still got developing to do.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And you could in a way use those 2 more option years to maybe get him some big league experience, but also make sure you're getting him developed in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that timeline, and especially again considering Happ and Suzuki's contracts, you could still have PCA in center field. Maybe you move, I know they both have no trade deals, but, even those can be waived. I think there's still a way to thread the needle enough where you're not worrying about where PCA and Kevin Alcantara will play. I think the timing wise, even if it's a year, right? Like you may have to kind of play around with it. But I think that Alcantara could still replace one of those guys if one or the other isn't brought back after their contract seasons are over. So I think if you're looking at it as like they have to pick between PCA or Kevin Alcantara, I just don't necessarily think that's true because of the fact that Alcantara still has multiple option years, which allows the flexibility to kind of play around with that things. I think that's also important to consider in that.
Unless the other team's saying, I want
that
PCA or Alcantara. You pick.
Sure.
He's 20 years old, so like Brady makes a good point. He isn't ready probably till 2025, opening day 2026, right? He played most of his games in high A last year. He played
5 games in double A.
5 games in double A. For some reason, I felt like it was more, but whatever. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. 12 homers, 65 runs, score 66 RBIs, 15 stolen bases. His K rate was 23% in high A, 7.6 walk rate. Weighted runs created 124. Like, there's definitely a lot still to be unlocked there for him to really reach the ceiling that I think a lot of scouts and fans believe, right? PCA obviously more ready now. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that when opposing teams, I think that when they look at the Cubs system and if they're trying to get the most value back, a guy with the highest ceiling, they're going to be looking at Kevin Alcantara, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I'm not the front office people, but that's to me, like, he's a guy that I'm willing to move if you're getting like a player that can make an impact on your team immediately. Now, we're talking about Jesus Luzardo? No. But if we're talking about an all-star, consistent all-star caliber player, then yeah, I am. But
Greg says, why not Canario? Well, he might be, but I don't know if he's going to be a big enough prospect.
He's not.
To pull in the type of player we're talking. Not by himself, for sure.
Now, when you talk about a Jesus Luzardo trade, I mean, I've talked about it in Twitter Spaces. I've talked about it in the CHGO Sports, Cubs Discord channel, voice chat,
for the diehards.
With the diehards. You can become one, too. James Triantos and Alexander Canario, automatically, they're part of any trade, I feel like, if we're actually talking trade for a starting pitcher or someone out there. It doesn't. I just feel like those are automatic ones that you can put in there and Canario is mainly because you still don't know where Morel is going to play right now in this scenario. We're thinking Morel is still your DH, but Magic Wand Monday, I hope he's playing third base, and if so, then that opens up a spot for Canario or hell, even Triantos one day, right? But at this point, I'm looking at it as Morel is going to be your DH more often than not. So for me, that takes away at bats for Canario. Triantos, they're having the same situation with him as they are with Morel. Hasn't found a position yet. Definitely can hit. Killed it at the Arizona Fall League, right? Entered the top 100 this year, number 73. A lot to like there. To me, starting with those two guys and then going somewhere else after that, probably have to add a top 10 guy, can land you, to me, a pretty good player that can pitch.
Yeah.
I feel like that is possible.
It's interesting. I think we're looking at it and we definitely wouldn't have said this 2 years ago, but they have the prospects to go out and make one of those moves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends on, again, what the return would be. Obviously a higher return you're gonna have to get a better players, bigger package, whatever. But they're in a position where if a Jesus Luzardo really becomes available, right, or whoever it is, they have the prospect capital that they can go and get a deal like that done. So it'd be interesting to see what would happen. I know they've been in the Luzardo rumors at various points in the offseason, but if it becomes a reality, just to see what it would cost, because those kind of things I'm never good at really predicting or really looking ahead.
It makes a lot of sense that the Cubs and Marlins have been connected in trade discussion, just because the Marlins need offense and the Cubs need a pitcher, and the Marlins have pitching, they lack offense. The Cubs have some position players that are kind of, I don't want to say blocked, but they're kind of blocked.
I don't know if I buy the rumors over the weekend, but I hope they're talking to somebody.
Listen, again,
I hope they're talking to somebody.
I'm never giving credit to a Cardinals account, but if we're going to play the scenario that it's true, I'm open to talk about it.
I heard
but I'm not giving
Goldschmidt.
any credit. I won't. I refuse to give that account any credit.
And Arenado.
We should put out a counter. Heard they're trading for Goldschmidt. They're talking deal.
That's
Madrigal for Goldschmidt.
We should start our own rumors, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
Wild Thought Wednesday.
Wild Thought Wednesday.
Arenado and Goldschmidt and
to
move to Chicago.
Yeah, for Triantos and some other guys.
And a washing machine.
Yeah, more washing machines.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Don't forget to sign up to be a diehard. Everybody's doing it. We gave you all the names at the top.
Yeah,
everybody's doing it. Hundreds of people.
I don't know if you were here
since
when
the
we
start
said
of the
it.
year.
The most popular
thing. We had 110 in January. Our goal is to double it by the end of February.
That's what we said last Thursday. Yeah.
Over 200.
Double down.
Double it.
Over 200.
220? We want 220.
And before opening day, 300.
Let's do it.
I'm probably in the CHGO Discord chat, Cubs chat, tomorrow afternoon.
All right, and we're back here. 12:30 is the live time, Barb, if you're watching this or listening to it on the podcast later. 12:30
Barb knows
this
how to
week.
use podcast feed?
12:30.
Maybe.
You think Barb knows how to use a podcast feed?
It's possible.
She knows how to get
She knows
log
how
on
to do
to
a
YouTube.
lot of stuff, Barb. She knows how to make turkey meatballs. She knows a lot of stuff.
She had an appointment last Thursday she was telling us about.
Something like that.
Oh, I hope it went well.
Yeah, I hope it went
well.
Oh, there she
There
is.
they are.
Hey,
Oh,
Barb. We are.
Barb's
We're
here.
live.
We are live, but we're about to not be.
But
live.
we're about to be not live anymore.
It's Cody's
Thanks for
fault,
checking out the
Barb.
CHGO
Cody's
Cubs
fault.
podcast. 12:30 tomorrow. We're live, Barb.
12:30.
We'll see you there. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.